Alright, let's get this recording started. Alright, so today we're going to be working on making a map inspired by Bounds or Frogger, where you are just an HQ and you're trying to dodge various things that are flying at you. So I'm going to try to make something a little more like an action game, but still in the context of bike links. So let's get that started. We're making a new map. And this map doesn't really have any resemblance to like normal maps. So we're gonna not base it on a template. We don't have any starting assets clogging up our workspace. And we're probably gonna cover a lot of space since it's very mobile. So we're just gonna set the size to something nice and big. Call this Bound 21. We're going to make a map. Alright, so first up, we want to set up our player. I'm just going to go for the middle of the map. They're going to have a platform and a headquarters on that platform. We want to find a space for them to live in. So we're going to add some walls just to give them little area to bounce around in to start things off. Now, first up, I want to start off with one of the weird things I wanted to try and do. So I want to try and have AI controlled surgers that push the player around, so that like instead of having something hit you and damage you, you can have something hit you and like push you into a wall. Things of that nature. So I'm gonna make an AI, a new one called Player Pusher. And we're gonna take that AI and we're gonna add an instance of it to the player. This player cyan there. Now we've got this AI. We don't want this AI to do most of the normal AI things. Like we don't want it to insert cards or like fire its laser or any of the normal AI response stuff. So I'm just going to make sure all of that is turned off. We're going to want it to act very quickly. It's going to be playing a recording and I want it to be reactive. It also isn't going to be ramping. Most of these fields aren't really going to matter. I'm going to get that mattering. Okay, so now we want to have something for our AI to do. So we're going to try out, so we're going to make a card. That is a recording. So I'm going to want to control exactly where these surgers are going. Later I'm going to loop this card so that like surgers or various other things fire over and over again. But for now I just want to test and like, okay, what is it like to have an AI pushing our HQ around? So we're going to make a recorded card, one-time use, and we're going to record what that card does. And what it's going to do, it's going to build a surger, push us over there. Oh, later I'm going to want to reduce the cost on all these buildings so that everything happens faster. Because I don't want the player to be sitting around waiting for nanites when they're playing like an action game. You probably want to remove the cooldowns on most stuff. Yeah, essentially I want to see how being pushed around with the AI interacts with the player controlling their own platform. Oh, I have forgotten to actually begin recording on this card. My bad. So we're just going to start that over. See the field reset, and now we're going to begin recording. Yeah, it can be useful to have some time there if you want to like set up the area that you're recording ahead of time. Oh yeah, I'm just going to use some cheats to have a lot of resources until we get around to making things free. Wait, what? Okay. I didn't start. Okay, there we go. It's recording. Oh. Okay, part of my resource cheat code restarts the recording. Oopsie doopsie. Might want to change some buttons on that. Okay, so then we're just going to set up a recording as if we had infinite resources. And then let it play out differently in the real game. So I have this push player deck. I'll make one of those. Oh, and in that deck, we're going to add the push player card. And then we're going to take that deck and we're going to give it to our AI. So hopefully that should be enough for us to start testing. Let's cheat to give ourselves a lot of resources so the AI doesn't. Yeah. And I go, fight. And I disrupt the recording by going off bounds. Okay. That seemed to work all right. Okay, let's see if I don't interrupt. How does that go? I guess I must have canceled my recording midway through. Back to editing the map. Alright, so yeah, now's a really good time to set up our action modifiers so the player has access to different buildings, and those buildings are free. So we're going to make a bar first, which is the player action bar. This is going to be for the player. And they're going to have access to surgers. We can put those on 3. And nothing else. Excuse me. Just sneezy today. Player action bar. So we're going to go over to our player and select that action bar so that it'll get used. Now we're going to make some action modifiers that are free surgers. So that's going to be a surger modifier. So we're going to take the stats for the normal surger. Take its nanite cost, 0. Energy cost, also 0. Nice and simple. And we're going to create another one called free wires. The surgers build wires, and you still have to pay for those. So we're going to want those to also be free. Now we're going to turn that into a set called player. For now, it's just free stuff, but we might be adding others to it eventually. So we take our do modifiers, put those in the set, and then tell the player to use that set. And now we can see here, if we change our player, change our building set, and change back. Oh, okay, I guess that isn't working right now, but if I go to test, there we go. Whoop. As you can see, searchers are now free. Excellent. Back to editing the map. Okay, so now I want to try and make this a little more dangerous. So we're going to add in a second player. Now, this isn't really a game about like going after your opponent's HQ. So I'm just going to have them be located safely over here. And then we're just going to have a relay from here. I have a nice relay system here that should give them nice power options anywhere on the map. Let me do that so that I can give them. These barricades may not actually need to be powered. I haven't experimented with that, but I do believe they'll deal. Yeah, these blockades deal return damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat the outside of our box in blockades. And I'll change the stats on all of these later so that they're like a real threat. But for the moment, I'm just going to coat the edge of the box in blockades so that the friendly surgers that come and push the player around can have something to push them into that'll deal damage. But only while you're actively being pushed into them. Because I think that'll be neat. So take that card, take our push the player card. Do a little extra recording here. Our recordings don't seem to be using the player upgrades, so that's a bug I'll want to work on. For now, we're just gonna imagine that we filled this whole space with wires. Now we're gonna start, pushing the player around. I believe that even if these actions failed, they'll still get recorded, but we'll see. We complete our recording. The map resets. Now I can go and test it out. Oh, did I have the right player? I did have the right player selected. Oh, interesting. It didn't build. Ah, there we go. There we go. Building all the wires. Does this player have an AI on them? Or I think I just forgot some wires. All right. So now we've got various surgers flying back and forth. And when they run into a wall, bam, you take damage. All right. I'm probably going to want these on every other space so that the player doesn't get stuck against a wall. Because that's no fun. Yeah, I'm thinking this will be like the opening of the level. It's just like you're trapped in a box, there's surgers flying at you, trying to push you into walls. Try and stay alive. That'll be like stage 1 of our adventure. Okay. So first up, I can go ahead and just add those wires in the editor so the card doesn't need to build them. And, oh right, and I want to remove every other one of these. Ah, okay, so now we can tell that them being unpowered. Now we really need them to be able to be unpowered, because I don't feel like placing a relay under every single one of these blockades to keep them powered. Like, I certainly could. But I think I'd rather just make them uncapturable. So that'll be another modifier. So we're going to start, setting up some modifiers for our AI. Got my cyan selected. So there we go. So now I want these to be uncapturable or close enough to uncapturable. So let's go ahead and make a modifier. Create blockades. I'm going to make this a blockade modifier. I'm going to take that capture time. Oh, did we only go up to 60 seconds? Maybe I should make this longer. Yeah. All the adjustments that I want to make. Our engine, and we'll give it 1 billion health. And a bazillion. Vision. Alright. And a 5x damage retaliation. Okay, so I won't actually be able to make these. Oh, right, this one still has 2 different stats for that. That's another thing to fix. Why not? We'll do both. We're doing like 15x damage return. And they'll at least take a minute to capture. That'll be enough for testing. Maybe I will actually need to go and place all those relays. that. We're going to make another action modifier set, which is like the enemy, or let's say red player. Yeah, on maps that are a bit less weird, we might want to share action modifier sets between a bunch of players. We want them to all act the same. But for this, they're probably just going to be one-offs. Each player is probably gonna have their own upgrade set. So give them those action modifiers so they have the super barricades. And then we're gonna make one more action modifier. Which is weak HQ. Because I would like the player's HQ to get destroyed relatively quickly, and by default they have a lot of health. So I'm going to create an upgrade or action modifier to weaken the player's HQ. I don't care about most of these stats, but for health, let's just have like 100. So you can take, well, okay, with Surgers, like 250 maybe. I did upgrade the. Oh no, let's go with 100. I did upgrade the damage return a lot, so it probably won't be too hard to kill our HQs. But I want them to die like close to instantly. It isn't too hard to avoid bumping into our walls, but we want to have a serious consequence for when that happens. Player modifiers, and we add weak HQ so that they can get nicely bullied. Might also change surger damage, since affected damage is a multiplier on that. Alright, let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, action card, right. We spent a little while setting up wires normally. We won't be seeing any of that. So we should. I'll want to re-record. I'll re-record that action so it gets started a bit faster. We should now be. Killed immediately. Yes, that is exactly what I was hoping would happen. Now we don't have a lose condition, so nothing actually happens. But you know, the basic, like, all right, surgers are going to get thrown at us. Ooh, that's an action recording bug. Hey Micah, I got a bug for action recordings. Okay, so before this level works, we're gonna need to fix that bug. Because what I'm doing here shouldn't affect what the recording does, but it made it build all those giant walls of surgers, using the things that were supposed to be building lots of wires. So that's an issue we're going to need to look into. So, let's just take that push player AI card. I think I want this on repeat. I want this player to just like do this over and over again, so I'm actually not going to discard after use, so that after the recording plays, it'll just start over and play again forever. So that's a nice simple way to loop something. Ready our surger. And begin recording. Surgers. 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 Now I really want these just flying at the player from all sides, because I don't know where they're going to be. That'll be a tricky one. Now let's make a wall of death. Let the player dodge that. And then make a wall of death the other way. Let the player try and dodge that. Back to a few more random attacks. I want them starting on the edges of the map so the player has like a little bit of forewarning about what's going to be going on here. And then we'll have a few seconds of stillness. 1, 2, 3. And we'll call that a recording. Now, the classic. Can I beat my own map? Oh, no. Dodge! Dodge! Ah, shit. Huh. Did my damage mod stop working? Interesting. Because before, when I got pushed into one of the... Maybe they do need to be powered. Oh, they probably... Let's see. Do these barricades need to be powered in order to do damage? Because that could be it. Yeah, that... Ah, yep, that's the problem. Alright. So let's go back to editing our map. And let's give all of those barricades power. So we want a relay. Oh, right, we want to be player red, because sure, why not? Relays don't really have teams, but we're just going to want one big old relay network to power all of these barricades. Oh, okay. I think I have maxed out the number of relays that I can have in a set. This might not actually work. 7, 8, 8. Ah, okay. So I can have up to 8 relays in a set. So now let's... what's my undo button? Let's just undo a bunch of times. Get rid of all those relays. Make new ones in sets of 8. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. By the way, I'm holding down Shift when placing these relays to make one big group. 5, 6, 7, 8. So I don't have to have one pair of relays for each spot that I want to have powered. Yeah, another option here would have been to just put holes in the walls and have a wire going around, which honestly might have been a better solution, but I think this looks kind of neat, so I'm going to leave it that way. Alright, let's try that out. Oh, right, as long as I'm here, just remembered those barricades. Oh, right, no, I gave them like 1,000,000 health. They won't die from having surgers run into them. So let's try that out. Get my surge right there ready. Dodge. Okay, then, oh, I just saw one there, so hopefully I should have always want to try playing your own video game from time to time to see how it works. Oh no. Ah! Okay, I probably want to give myself at least a hit or two. So, okay. That's just so that I, like, control the numbers a little easier. I'm going to take the return damage on the barricade. Just make that 1. That's nice and simple. If I look at my Surger upgrade, there should be some damage in here and tell me how much damage Surgers normally deal. I don't have these numbers memorized. Okay, they normally deal 50 damage. So, okay, so our HQ's 200 health should be 4 hits. And that seems like a pretty reasonable number. I'm going to give our player effectively 4 hit points. As we try out this map. Let me just try that out first. Say I'm... Oh no! Okay. Huh. It only ended up being 2. I guess I misremembered one of my numbers. Oh yeah, and you can, of course, also block surgers with other surgers. Now, at least, if you're on the ball, you can recover from being pushed into things. Oh, but not if you make too many mistakes in a row. That's okay. Probably mess around with the difficulty on this a bit later. But that's a decent starter. Alright. So now that we have that working, let's see. At some point, I will want to open up the map and let the player escape. Okay, so enough for that is that we'll just have an opening up here. And then we'll have another recording from this player that has them demolish these buildings so that you can escape the area. After you've dodged for a little while, this zone will open up, and you'll be able to head out into whatever beautiful rest of the map there is. So we're just going to make another AI card. Oh, this one will be discarded after use. Yeah, so that way they'll only the one time. We have open door 1. Because we might end up doing this a couple more times. So yeah, we'll leave that as discard after use. We'll go to the push player deck. And we'll add open door 1. So they're going to push the player around and then open the door. We're going to record an action. Oh, right. I want to make sure I have the right... need to make sure I have the right player selected first. So we're just going to complete that recording. Go out here. Okay, because I want to record something as player 2. As player red, because they can demolish their own buildings and still have a demolish button. All that good stuff. So now we're going to record this action of deleting all of that stuff. Oh, I didn't actually record it. Derp, 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 derp. If I see restart. Oh, right. Okay, so complete that. Which resets the map. Record. Begin recording. Delete. Delete. Complete recording. A nice little 5-second recording. And now, just for testing purposes, I'm going to have the open door command happen first. Just so that I don't have to wait around for the entire attack set. I was like, yeah, in testing, I don't want to have to wait. Oh, wait. I put this on the wrong player. I'm being silly. Okay, so the timing on this is going to be a little tricky because push player is player action, and there aren't any player actions that we can use to let the player out of their cage, because if not, the player could do them. Let's see, this was about a minute long. So, okay, I think we're going to do something a little silly here. To make the timing work. I could put the timing in a trigger. That would make it easier to edit. And it would show off how you do things with triggers. So, sure. We're going to make a red player deck. And just to make sure the card works, we're going to start with it. Oh, no, wait, right. Right, the red player isn't going to actually have a deck. I'm just remembering what my plan was. Alright, we're going to do some stuff with triggers. We're going to make a trigger set that is opening doors. Triggers. It's going to be a set. And we're going to do things in order. Trigger that is open door 1. This is just going to be triggered by time passing, so we make an execute trigger. And we're going to delay it by about... Well, okay, we're going to start with delaying it by 5 seconds for testing, and then we're going to up that later so that it happens so that the door opens after the player has done their dodging, has done all their dodging for the first bit of the map. Alright, we don't have any map actions yet, so we're going to make open door 1 as a map action that inserts an AI card. Since we made a recording that opens the door, we make a map action that will cause the AI to use that card. So see here, we have targeting player red, its first AI. The player only has 1. But if we had multiple AIs on the same player, which we might at some point, if we want player red to do anything else that isn't on this track and not have this track of actions interrupted, then we'd want to have a few more AIs on player red. So when this trigger goes off, we're going to insert the AI card, open door 1 into red's deck. It's occurring to me this may show off another bug, so I may end up actually needing to take a break and fix some bugs. That's what happens when you actually make maps in your editor. You learn things. So the open door 1 trigger should activate the open door 1 action, and the opening doors trigger set. Set in it, and then over on the map, we want to add that to our root, so that when the game starts up, this trigger goes off, and then hopefully we get back to our open doors. Our open doors card will get pushed, and the door will open for us. Okay, we had a delay of 5 seconds. So I do still need to do a little dodging. Like so. Okay, that didn't seem to work. Okay, so for debugging this... Oh, I forgot the player could block the spawns of surgers. I really should have been starting them in these holes. Maybe so the player couldn't get in the way. I might go... Oh, yeah, that's probably a polish thing. I might go back and fix that at some point. Because it doesn't, like, ruin the level for you to be able to do that. Go back to editing the map. Okay, let's have this card happen in a little bit of a simpler way. Red player deck. And see if that's the problem. Because I think that, yeah, starting up the red player through the game, there might be some bugs there that I want to check out. First up, we're just going to put it more directly. No. Red. Oh, right. We need a red player AI. So here we've got our red player. Alright, we want our red player deck. So we'll use our red player card. Let's see if that works. It's also possible I'd messed up on the recording of the card in some way. Like maybe I actually forgot to press record ever. I do keep doing that, and if you have record off, you don't get very good recordings. Most of the time. So, you know, these are the pro strats that you want to keep in mind. Like, press the button to do a thing if you want that thing to happen. The technology is just not there yet. Oh, right, I was hit by multiple surges. You gotta be very careful about that wave, because it will kill you instantly. Alright, let's go back to our card. Make sure that is working. Okay, so we select player red. Open door 1. Record action. I might have just forgotten to actually record anything. That would certainly do it. Sure. We'll just remove all of those. And then, I don't know, build some wires over here. Delete them, just so we can see if something specific is going wrong. And we complete that recording. Now, make sure our deck... I forgot to put the card... No, wait. Player deck. No, I put the card in the deck. The card is in action. Did I tell the AI to use the deck? I did. Okay. So that one worked. We actually don't want this player to shuffle their first deck. Oh, right. Let's ramp up their speed so the AI is a bit more responsive to our pre-programmed thingamajiggers. Yeah, there's a lot of settings here that are set up for, like, a battle AI, like you'd see in the campaign. 'Cause we want to have, like, decent settings for just, like, having a person that you fight. Okay, what's going on here? Does the red player not have the actions or something? Because I should definitely be able to demolish. Oops. Okay. This level might be too hard, given that I, the creator, just now keep dying. Okay. So what is going on with this recording? Why is it not... Open door. Don't discard after use. Like, what is the difference between these two? Push player was working fine. The player I want dead. Let's record. Begin recording. Look, it's a wire. Okay, so this will be a nice gauge for, like, is the recording as a whole not playing? Or is there some other problem? Recording. To the map. Wait a second. I didn't put the AI on the player! You need to have an AI in place in order for them to do things. That would make sense. Oh, there were probably errors in my error log. I really should have looked at that. I made error logging tools. And it's generally a good idea to look at them if you think you might be having some errors. That'll often help. Huh. Wait, where's the error log? Okay, that's another thing I'll look into, is figuring out what happened to my error log. Okay, but on the upside... the recording does seem to be playing this time. And, yep. It got deleted and everything. Okay, the mystery is solved. Now, we shouldn't actually need this AI to have this deck, because we're going to be inserting the card with a trigger. So I'm just going to now set this up to work, like, more properly. Because, like, with the trigger, we can set a specific amount of time much more easily. Because, like, see, open door, we have a delay time, so we can just set that time to our minute and a half, what have you, rather than like having to mess around with the recording, trying to get a recording that does the thing at the right time. Yeah, now that I have that, let's try out the trigger set version. Oh, right, I want to re-record the card so that it just does the thing that I want. Now that we have the card working, it is discard after use. This is a thing that should only happen one time, so we're gonna record. Begin recording. Oh, wrong player. Complete recording. Swap to the player I actually want to record for. Begin recording. And you can hear. Begin recording. Delete. Delete. Complete recording. A nice little 3-second delete some stuff recording. So now let's try that out. Oh, right, I had a 5-second delay, so it'll still take a little bit for this to go off. Aha! Now the stuff's deleted. So if I can just sneak my way on out of here, we have proof of concept. Oh, right, I still can't delete things. Good times. Alright. Let's go back to editing the map. Take the trigger delay on opening door 1. And increase that to like 70 seconds. Because I think the recording was a little over a minute. Sure, let's just take a little time and play through it. Because why not? Yeah. Get. Ah, shit. Whew. I gotta get good at this. And probably not curse on stream. These are all important lessons and as part of the map making experience. Dodge! Dodge! Okay. Now, as I remember, I now have to get to the other side of the map to dodge the other attack. Oh, did I go there fast? No, I didn't. Alright. We'll add in a lose condition. We'll add in a lose condition later. Oh, I keep clicking too far. But on the upside, the timing part is actually decently interesting. That you have to kind of start doing your movements before you need them. Ooh. Man, I am not good at this. Okay, so this may end up being the advanced version of the map. See, that's when you make a thing that's too difficult for you as a developer, you just like call it a hard mode, and now you've created a feature. It's not that you made a map insanely hard by accident. It's that you wanted to give the player a meaty challenge. Nope, nope. Oh, I'm so bad at this. Okay. Okay, stick to the right side. Think like the player. I could also lower Surger build time. That might not be a bad idea. Make the game as a whole a little more fluid. Just by lowering that amount of prep time that you need a bit. What? Okay, I think I could also raise the margin of error a little. So, since I already have these action modifiers in place, I can take my free Surgers and build time. 1 second. Let's make that 0.5 seconds. Let's make that 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds. There we go. And make them operational in 0.3. Operational is actually the important one here, because I want to know when the Surger will start doing things. I bet that'll feel a bit better. Yeah, okay, that definitely. Yeah, you want to have a little bit of delay just because, like, that's part of what makes it feel like byte links. But we can tweak that feel to work better in our custom maps. Okay, we got the big wave. I dodge. pretty far over. I did not leave myself a ton of space here. Aha! Okay. And then, in theory, yep, this recording restarts. And there should... is my trigger not going off? Did I put the time too high? Interesting. So I thought all I changed on that trigger was the timing. So it should still be going off, just like a little bit later. Aha! Okay, there we go. I just don't know how time works. Oh, and of course we'll need more holes in the wall so that you can maneuver. But, alright. Proof of concept. We've got Bound Stage 1, V1 in the game. Back to editing the map. Okay, now what was I gonna do next? Let's see. I want to experiment with some other things. Alright, this is gonna be maybe more work than it's worth. But I'm doing it anyway. Alright, so what I want to try and do is have a hallway that is periodically filled with death lasers. So for this, I'm going to use 2 different AIs, because I need to have one player who fires the laser and another one that gets targeted, so that that player can rebuild the wires so that the lasers will always have something to shoot at. That might also add an interesting element to trying to leapfrog through when you have all these wires. So you want to go right after the laser so the wire isn't in the way. Yes, okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this more and more. I think we've got potential here. Yeah, and I could use the same player with new AIs, but I want these players to just be stuck in this perpetual loop of solar rams filling the tunnel with lasers. So I think I just want to use 2 new players for that. And we're not going to use player purple because that player feels like they should be corruption. So we want to leave them out of this. Give the player a little bit of tunnel so that they can relax. And then we're going to have a bunch of HQs. Do I want you to be able to pause in between? I do, but only if you're precise about it. Yeah, so let's have 3 spaces. And we're just gonna copy, paste, paste, paste. Then after this, we're gonna need to turn the direction the player is going because, yeah. Out of map space. Though I could also move the whole map into the bottom left-hand corner, like cut and paste the whole map in the bottom left-hand corner. That'd also work decently. Now we want a nice dull color for our player who gets lasered. So for them, we're just going to keep them, we're going to make another one of those little remote HQs with a bunch of relays that go in. So that way they can't get actually killed by the lasers or by the player. They're nice and out of the way. I want wires to start coming from like here. So I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have a wall here. I want our player to be fairly constrained. essentially the idea is we'll just have this line of wires here. That are constantly getting lasered and rebuilt. And the timing on this is probably going to be weird. But that's fine. Alright, so we're going to want 2 new decks. Well, player deck. And eventually I may... And... What's that one called? Orange. Oh, it's lime. Should call it lime. Lime player deck. Rename. Now we're going to have the orange player deck. And we're going to have some cards. There are going to be more recordings. This level is very scripted in terms of what happens in it. So it's going to be mostly recordings. I'm honestly not sure if we're going to end up having the AI do anything else. Have a orange wire rebuild. We're going to make that a recording. Not discarding after use. Most recordings are one use only. A lot of ours aren't. And then we're going to create a lime fire lasers. Play recorded. Now the timing on IIs isn't 100% consistent, so this is gonna be a little interesting. But first I'm just gonna set up the cards so that everything is set up to play. Now we're gonna have a lime AI. Who also doesn't respond to any. I should probably just make a copy, because there's a decent number of these settings that I want to have in common. Alright, yeah, so that'll save me some time. So rather than making a whole new AI, I'm going to make a copy of Lime AI called Orange AI. I'm going to make a copy. That's going to be the same, but it uses the orange player deck, so I don't have to go back and reset all these settings. They won't be synchronized from here on out. It's just a one-time copy, but that will save us some time. Oh, right, and then I need to go and make these actions free, or the player's very rich. This level might run for a while. I should probably just make the actions free. You know, let's get a little lazy with it. We're gonna make an upgrade. That is, everything is free. Because upgrades, these are modifiers to existing stats, can apply to all building types. Where's all building types? There's so many options. Lights, survey. All buildings. And it's going to take your nanite cost and multiply it by 0, and your energy cost and multiply it by 0. I'm just going to make one that is everything is free. Set. And then we're going to take player lime. Action modifiers, everything is free. Player orange. Action modifiers, everything is free. Oh, right, I will need another one, though. Which is I want to effectively remove the cooldown on the solar ramp, because it's normally quite long. Instant. Solar ramp. Call it raid, because that's what we call it here. As long as we're here, we'll zero out the cost. Most of these stats don't really mean anything for the solar array. Action cooldown. 0. And we'll just put that in our everything is free. Instant ray, and we'll just rename you. Free and fast. So for our players, using everything is free and fast. So now I think I'll make the laser one first. So select player lime, go to the cards, get lime, fire, laser, record action. Get our ray selected. As we can see, everything is free. Excellent. And begin recording. Fire, 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 and complete. And then we're going to go over to orange. Oh, and we're going to actually select the orange player. Actually, I don't actually know that I need to click the orange player. Then actually, I might be being a bit silly about that. We're going to record. We're going to go rebuild, 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 rebuild. Complete. So now let's see what that looks like. Fortunately, my death still doesn't matter, so I can just ignore what's going on there. So I probably forgot to set up something. Or something would be happening here. Okay, let's just go through the pipeline, see what it is that I forgot. I forgot to put AIs on anyone. AI actions have to be done by someone. Lime gets a lime. Orange gets an orange. That will probably be the issue. Okay, so I think maybe if I made the laser kill things a little faster, then the timing would work out. Okay. Making this not janky might actually be pretty hard. But we're in custom map land. We can have a little bit of jank. I'll probably come back and mess with that later. I'm just trying out ideas. If I end up cutting this, so be it. So let's take our instant ray upgrade. You can make separate upgrades for all the different things you want to do if you want things to be a little more clear. We're just going to take the damage. And honestly, if you get hit by this ray, I would like you to die immediately. So we're just going to do that. Oh, I could also lower the duration. Well, no. I want the laser to get all the way over there, and if it hits you, I want you to die immediately. So, okay, let's try that out and see what that looks like. Did that make a difference? Now, we have two recordings of slightly different lengths that are like trying to synchronize up with each other for the wire rebuilding and the laser firing. So they're pretty much inevitably gonna desync. Even if I make them exactly the same, there is like a little bit of randomness involved. So they are gonna drift. this is a little too janky. But, well, I had a very janky idea, so we shouldn't be surprised at janky results. Okay. So that's workable. I think I want to add the win-lose condition. I'll add it now and then probably remove it for most of my testing. Just because it's convenient to just be able to watch what's happening without a bunch of stuff happening. Okay, so what else did I want to try? Oh, right, yeah. Well, sure, let's add some win-lose conditions. Trigger. We're gonna make a trigger that is lose. Because I think having your HQ destroyed is probably going to be the only way you can lose the game. HQ loss. I have a trigger that is HQ loss trigger. So that's obviously going to run off of a building. That and the main thing it's going to do. So it's going to look for a building belonging to player 1 that is an HQ that gets destroyed. And it's going to trigger. Oh yeah, we can have some dialogue on here. Wait. Oh no! And we're going to want a map action that will actually make us lose. So we're going to create one of these that is lose, which is an end the level trigger of type restart defeat. Level back up. Lost. And oh, I already put a dialogue on the trigger, so I don't need to put one on the map action. Then we go over to our HQ loss. And we want it to trigger losing. We're going to make a trigger set so we can add it to our level, which is win lose trigger. Because later we'll want a win trigger, and it'll be in the same conditions. It'll just be a trigger that exists the whole game, watching for a particular thing to happen. So they can go in the same set, since they'll be happening at the same time. Now, in addition to our opening doors triggers, we're going to have win-lose triggers. Test. And then I'll work on making a victory condition. Oh, right. Yeah, testing losing. Let's go do that. Blah. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go and try and find out why. Okay, starting from the root. Win-lose triggers is in. Trigger set. Win-lose triggers. It has the trigger of HQ loss. HQ loss. You are triggered. Okay. Build type going to target player is destroyed or demolished. I thought I had tried this before. Interesting. Don't die! Okay, just so we can... Maybe it's found with a trigger location or something? That shouldn't be the case, but... So if that fixes our problem, that's a bug I'll keep in mind. Not we have our triggered action of losing. And lose action. Ends level in defeat. Doesn't have any conditions on it. So it should be pretty easy to tell if that happened. Now let's go. There we go. Okay, so it... our area defaults may still not be good. Oh, shit. Don't die. Yeah, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. That you need to not die. Oh yeah, is there an icon for this? Oh right, that's HQ, because it's an HQ trigger. Let's test that theory. Right, just make a new building trigger. And destroy. HQ. And on trigger action, lose. Then we go into our lose set, move the lost trigger, add lost trigger 2. And see if that works. It did. Okay, so that's... maybe I made some mistake I didn't notice. Okay. Weird, or we have some other kind of startup bug. Probably just made a mistake that I didn't notice. Who knows? Maybe I'll see it in the recording. Delete HQ+2. Let's make another one. I think this is a building one. I want to try and make one for the player getting to a place. And I think I can check for them building wires in an area. And with our laser fence, that'll do as a proxy for the player getting somewhere. Because there's no way they're building wires. Well, okay, with enough persistence. We'll see. All this on this. HQ escape. We're gonna make a building. Action types. Construct. Oh, I could make them have their HQ be destroyed in a specific location. That would do the job. Well, we can always just put a time limit or something to encourage you to push your HQ along. So if you lose your HQ, a couple of hazards back. Or I could even seal the way with another action at some point. Anyways, so for the moment, okay. Player 1, construct a wire in a specific place. I think that should do the job. So trigger location. We're just gonna have that up here for the moment. And then walls. Oh, I reached the top of the map. Excellent. And just for testing. How do I want to do that? I'll take my open door 1. Make that 0 seconds. So that I can go test my wind condition. somewhere that I don't already have a billion wires. Ah, alright, so we can see that. You can see that basically worked. And now for here, I am gonna do the cheese. I can do something to make this a bit harder in the future. Alright, with free surgers, I can just... walls of surgers. I might want to put an action cooldown on the surger. Oh. Cheating at this level might be harder than I thought. Let's go waves of surgers. Get there. Get there. For each surger that falls, 100 more go to take their place. Well, in good news, I've discovered that the level is difficult to cheese. I wonder if Surger triggers wire building requirements. Because it might not. Okay, let's go back to editing. Let's change that location to somewhere a little easier to get to. Lest I have to actually figure out how to beat my own game. HQ escape. Construct. Wire. Clear location. Oh yeah, let's make sure you actually do a thing. Aha! You didn't do anything! So I couldn't tell if you triggered. These are going to be very common triggers. Very common map actions for you to make. Just some kind of win, some kind of lose. Defaults there are all fine. Win. And yeah, as long as I'm messing around, making things easier to test, let's just set the trigger location there. Test. And get out of there! Move! Oh, I moved too fast. Oh, wait, did my lose trigger get disabled? What did I change there? When lose triggers. HQ loss. HQ escape. Did I mess up my HQ loss? Don't die. Escape. When lose triggers. Begin. Get out of there! Run! Okay, so that did not count. Interesting. Might be because I built it using a surger. Are my lose triggers still working? No. Okay, so I've messed up something more important. Let's see. Okay. We got win-lose triggers. And our win-lose trigger set. We got HQ loss, HQ escape. HQ loss. It goes, oh no! And we lose. HQ escape. We construct a wire in the right area, and we win. Let me clear the locations on these. See if that's the problem. Okay. I still didn't lose. Why is that? I had this working a minute ago. Type all. So all these triggers should be set up. HQ lost. Objective. I'm not seeing the objective, which is weird. And they have an HQ destroyed. We lose. Map action. Lose. That should definitely be doing something. Triggers. Okay. If I take the escape trigger out of it, go back to testing. What is going on here? Huh. This was working a minute ago. What did I change? It's on the right level. Win lose triggers are in. Lost trigger. HQ lost trigger. Does the lose map action? Cleared any possible location settings. So something should definitely be happening. So I'm going to click back to menu and see if that fixes it. Edit. Oh, do I need player 1 to be getting the kill credit? Wait, how would that... I don't know, it should be the wall doing the damage. Okay. My best bet is still something weird with areas. Something weird is going on with areas. Maybe clearing them doesn't 100% work. Destroy. HQ. Lose. Okay. Trigger location. Anywhere in this whole area. Okay, let's test that. And still no. What did I do? Some more players. Huh. Okay, I'm trying to recreate this trigger. HQ is destroyed. not seeing the dialogue either. Okay. So what's going on here? Win-lose triggers is definitely here. Okay, win-lose triggers. It's got entry loss 2. Entry loss 2. Dial turn on show. Oh, I have show. No, it's a building belonging to the player, so that should be player 1. But like the dialogue isn't showing up, so that means something is failing in setup. Okay. Okay, so I think we've got some kind of exception that isn't showing up here. So I'm just gonna have to go figure out what that is. Probably make a patch to the game, and then get back to recording later.